but we have 5 demands. The first one is to free President Nicolas Maduro and First Lady Celia Flores now. That is our first demand. The second one is to pass the War Powers Resolution, which we're going to explain what that is. But we absolutely need to pass a War Powers Resolution. That way Trump can't just continue to attack Venezuela without any restraint. And so the third thing is to impeach Trump for war crimes. This is an absolute criminal behavior, and he needs to be impeached. The fourth demand is no war for oil. And the fifth demand is to end all sanctions against Venezuela, which is something that the DSA that we've advocated for years now. And so we have 2 things in the immediate future that we're going to be organizing around. The first is to organize and attend a day of action, an action during DSA's National Day of Protest, and it's going to be this Saturday, January 10th, and we're actually working with BSL, so they've co-endorsed January 10th, this Saturday, as a National Day of Action. And so the plan is that we're going to be working together and also potentially aligning with other left groups in the United States.
I believe that as socialists and as workers, we have an obligation to our international union siblings to disavow these crimes. For this reason, my comrades Lavender and Sarah and I brought forward and passed a resolution in the National Labor Commission Steering Committee to use our influence, however big or small, to push the U.S. labor movement to be in solidarity with Venezuelans, resisting imperialism, and in support of Venezuelan sovereignty. The resolution calls on the NLC to provide chapters and NLC members with a template resolution they can pass in their own unions. The template resolution first iterates the union's belief that the U.S. has no right to intervene, violently or otherwise, in the affairs of sovereign nations, that all workers deserve to live in dignity and peace, and that President Maduro and First Lady Celia Flores must be returned to their home. In terms of tangible action, the resolution calls for unions to mobilize membership to demand an end to military intervention in Venezuela from their local and federal elected officials. It also requires that unions invest in political education on the history of violent intervention and resistance in Latin America, and that unions provide members with information on local solidarity events that they can attend as proud union members. I'm going to drop a link to the template resolution in the chat if you would like to hopefully use that and organize in your own union. 1 second. Okay. The larger resolution of the NLC also requires us as DSA NLC to do a couple things. So we're planning to host a phone bank to our list of confirmed union officers to encourage them to pass the template resolution. We'll be setting a date for that shortly. So if you would like to help us phone bank, please stay plugged into the NLC. And lastly, the resolution aligns our comms with that of DSA National, with an emphasis on the need for our labor movement to practice international solidarity. But so why did we decide to pass this resolution, and what are we hoping it will actually do and accomplish? As an author on the resolution, I can say that while we've been fortunate that, unlike in the case of Israel's genocide of Palestinians, the AFL-CIO quickly moved to condemn the Trump administration's acts in Venezuela and its violations of international law, I think that if we're honest about the state of the US labor movement, the truth is that we often struggle to consider our international siblings. We straddle a line of contradiction where our movement benefits from imperialism materially through contracts to move and manufacture arms, and inevitably, as the US plunders Venezuela's oil, to refine that oil. Part of our mission as socialists in the labor movement must be to fight the impulse to improve our conditions at the sacrifice of our fellow workers abroad. While many locals have issued statements calling for a ceasefire in Palestine, and some national unions have signed on to letters demanding an arms embargo, many of our locals have stayed silent on Palestine, and they will continue to remain silent about attacks on international workers unless we push them to do otherwise. So if you're a union member, I encourage you to organize around and pass the template resolution in your local, make it more robust with localized demands if you can, and help build international solidarity within our labor movement. And to be clear, I have no false pretense that a local resolution will end U.S. intervention in Venezuela. But in a labor movement that has been defanged by corporate government and depoliticized in a neoliberal era, building towards a horizon where the American worker is willing to rally, fight, and strike for our international siblings requires us to build consciousness. These are the small steps that bring us out of isolation, that help us practice democracy in our unions, and that ignite curiosity in our movement about our imperial complicity and our power to rebuke it. El Pueblo de Venezuela has my solidarity, and I hope yours and your unions as well. Please reach out if you have questions or if you need help organizing, and if you are a DSA member who wants to engage more in international labor work, please join the National Labor Commission or the International Commission. And thank you so much.
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. So we have a one-pager, very simple document with some actions that you can take in the coming days to continue to mobilize against the war. You've heard some of those already from some of our previous speakers. I'm hoping somebody can drop the link in the chat. But we have another exciting announcement, which is that we're calling for a National Day of Action, and we're calling on all DSA chapters to mobilize this coming Saturday, January 10th. So this one-pager has a little bit of a summary of the call to action and, again, why we are protesting this imperialist aggression against Venezuela and why we want to stop the next endless war for oil. These are our top demands, which Luisa talked about at the beginning of the call. Free President Maduro, free First Lady Celia Flores, pass the War Powers Resolution to curb Trump's military aggression, impeach Trump for war crimes, no war for oil, and end all sanctions against Venezuela, including the current blockade on Venezuelan oil that is preventing imports and exports. Take action. You can start by contacting your representative, as Katie just showed us how to do. If you want to find the tool to send emails to your congressional representatives later on, here is a link in the toolkit. And you can share this tool with your friends, family, across all of your networks. Organize and pass a resolution in your union. If you heard from Martina earlier about the importance of building an internationalist labor movement, a labor movement that will fight for the working class worldwide, everywhere, whenever it is facing attack. Here is at the links to the resolution that you heard about earlier, the template that you can adapt, that you can pass in your local union. And then finally, organize and attend an action during DSA's National Day of Action on January 10th.
Thank you so much, Francesca, and to all our comrades here on this call with us. There's over 1,000 of you who've been watching with us for over an hour, almost an hour at this point. We now have over 90,000 members all over the country. We just passed 93,000, and we're growing week by week. So this is a time to join DSA. Our power comes from our collective resources as volunteers, the time that we put together, that over 1,000 of you are coming here. Many of you are active already in DSA chapters. It also comes from our collective resources. Being a dues paying member of DSA is part of what gives us independence from the two-party structure. We don't have to count on, rich foundation funded, just rich people who might have conditions on what they give that limits a lot of nonprofits. And we also aren't just, people self-selecting as activists. We are a powerful national movement. We have more socialists in office now than any time in the past century. We have a strong labor union movement, like Martina talked about, that we can leverage now. And we have more members than socialist organizations have had in many decades. So this is a time to show up on the streets, to take action in all the ways that we heard just now. And it's a time to join an organization. DSA is an organization that's very easy to join. So if you're not already a member, this is a part of the call where often we'll do a little poll to see how many of you are not members yet. If you're not a member of DSA yet, please join. Check out your local chapter. There's a lot you can do to plug in, even if it's just giving us your dues and joining and participating in what chapters are doing on the ground. So we hope to see you on the streets, and please keep up the pressure, and we're going to keep building it together, and we're going to take down the empire from within.